Hello, my name is Elizabeth Murphy, and I'm a senior community planner with the City of Rochester. And thanks for joining us for this presentation on Rochester's plan for HUD funding, implementing Rochester 2034. This presentation announces the draft document public display and comment period, which will run April 25th through May 24th of 2020 for our consolidated planning documents, which include the 2020 through 2024 Consolidated Plan, the 2020 through 2021 Annual Action Plan, the Citizen Participation Plan, and the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. So as introduction, this presentation provides an overview of the 4 draft documents prepared as part of the city's consolidated planning process, as well as information on how to review and comment on those draft documents. It kicks off a month-long opportunity for the community to review documents and offer their comments online at the project webpage, which is www.cityofrochester.gov/consolidated plan 2020 to 2024. This presentation will remain posted on the webpage for 30 days so that people can view it at their convenience. And it's narrated by me, Elizabeth Murphy, a senior community planner with the City of Rochester, and my colleague, Marjorie Willow, a principal with Mullen and Lonergan Associates based out of Pittsburgh, which is a national expert on consolidated planning and has worked with us to prepare our draft document. So a little bit of project background. The City of Rochester receives just about $12 million each year for the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, as we call it for short. And those funds come to us through 4 main funding programs: the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, the Home Investment Partnerships Program, or HOME, the Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, or HOPWA. The CDBG program supports a wide variety of activities, including not only housing and community development, but also economic development, youth development, infrastructure, public facilities, recreation, youth services, and other public services. The HOME program focuses on providing housing opportunities and affordable housing construction for low and moderate income households. And the ESG and HOPWA funds are 2 sources of funding for homelessness prevention and homeless services. So HUD requires the city to prepare a consolidated plan and its associated planning documents to inform the use of its HUD funds. But the consolidated plan is different from another planning process the city has recently gone through and completed, which was a 2+ year process of developing a new comprehensive plan. And the city's new comprehensive plan was adopted in November of 2019, and it's called Rochester 2034. It's a bit wider in scope than the consolidated plan because it looks to topics beyond housing and community development and economic development. And it's also a longer range plan. It looks out 15 years to where we want to be and how we want to try to get there in 2034. But the HUD funds that we receive and that we plan for through the consolidated planning process can be used for many of the activities that are recommended in Rochester 2034. So we really want to emphasize that we see the consolidated plan as one of our first opportunities to begin implementing the 34 comprehensive plan. So again, a little bit of background on the origins of this project. We started out at the beginning of this year with community input that informed the development of our draft documents. We held public and stakeholder engagement sessions in January and February of this year, and those included 1 public meeting on January 22nd and 5 stakeholder groups in January and February. 1 focused on homelessness, another on youth and health services, 1 on economic and business development, one on housing and community development, and one specifically just with neighborhood leaders. We and our consultant team with Marjorie and her colleague Christine at Mullen and Lonergan also held meetings with city's technical staff and leadership. And we also drew heavily on the extensive public engagement and stakeholder engagement input that we received from Rochester 2034. As I mentioned before, that was a 2+ year process, and we were able to engage thousands of people and over 100 different stakeholder groups to inform that process. It was a very robust engagement process, and so we drew heavily on input from that process as well to help inform the consolidated plan. So input, as well as then a heavy utilization of data and data analysis, informed the development of our draft consolidated planning documents. And through this video, we're announcing the public review and comment period for that. And I'm going to be turning the presentation now over to my colleague Marjorie at Mullen and Lonergan, who, along with her colleague Christine, did a lot of the data analysis and preparation of the draft documents that we have available for your review.
The City of Rochester has placed 4 draft documents for public display and comment. These include the 5-year 2020 to 2024 Consolidated Plan, the 1-year 2020 to 2021 Annual Action Plan, the Citizen Participation Plan, the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice. You can find these 4 draft documents on the web page at www.cityofrochester.gov/consolidatedplan 2020-2024. The first document is the 2020-2024 Consolidated Plan. It covers a 5-year period running from July 1 of this year through June 30th of 2025. The format of this document, as well as much of the data and the analysis, are prescribed by HUD. The document includes sections on a housing needs assessment, a housing market assessment, and a strategic plan for Rochester. Within the 5-year consolidated plan, the strategic plan is a very important piece of the document. It outlines the priority needs and goals identified by the city that justify projects to receive HUD funding. Some examples of the draft priority needs included in the Rochester Consolidated Plan include increase the supply, access to, and quality of affordable housing, provide housing and services to homeless and those at risk of becoming homeless, improve public infrastructure and facilities, economic and workforce development, and providing public services. Another of the documents on public review is the city's annual action plan for 2020 to 2021, and this covers the program year beginning July 1 of this year through June 30th of next year. And in this document, you can see Rochester's budget for that 1-year period and the list of its proposed projects. From the Community Development Block Grant Program, the city anticipates having $9,709,074 available for investment, and of this amount, $1.5 million will come from program income. Through the Home Program, the city anticipates having available $3,363,637. Of this amount, $850,000 is anticipated from program income. Also, the Emergency Solutions Grant Program will have available $708,965. And the HOPWA program, the Housing Opportunity for Persons with AIDS and HIV program, will have available $975,953. The City of Rochester's 2021 Action Plan project list is extensive. There are a lot of worthwhile projects, and this plan includes 27 proposed projects that support the priority needs and goals that are identified in the strategic plan of the Consolidated Plan. And just if you're going to go into the document, the action plan, and review it, be aware that there might be several projects under a single broad priority need. For example, under the priority need of increase the supply and access to and quality of affordable housing, there are 6 proposed projects as listed on this slide. The Affordable Housing Fund will be allocated $2,485,228. The Choto Reserve, and Choto stands for Community Housing Development Organization, and that amount of funding from the home program will be $377,046. Under the CDBG program, the Community Development Block Grant Program, the Home Rochester Program Management Project will receive $186,000, and the Emergency Assistance Program will also receive CDBG dollars in the amount of $200,000. The city's Housing Rehabilitation Program will receive $1,065,347, and its Homebuyer Assistance Program will receive $250,000 from the Home Program. The third document on public display is the Citizen Participation Plan. And this is a brief document, and it outlines Rochester's process for engaging residents and stakeholders in the planning and implementation of its HUD programs. Every 5-year consolidated planning cycle, the city is required to review its Citizen Participation Plan and determine if any changes or revisions or updates need to be made based on recent HUD guidance or a change in the city's demographics. And so this Citizen Participation Plan is also on display for your review. The fourth document on display for your review is the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice. And this is a document that looks at local demographic and housing data and then analyzes public and private sector policies and programs that can impact fair housing choice. And when we look at these public and private sector policy documents, such as the comprehensive plan or the zoning ordinance, we're looking to see if they expand or restrict housing choice for members of the protected classes. As part of that process, the city has also developed a Fair Housing Action Plan. And in that action plan, we have identified impediments or barriers that restrict fair housing choice for residents in Rochester. And then a list of recommended actions have also been included that, if implemented, would eliminate those impediments or barriers. And the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice informs the consolidated plan, meaning that some of its recommended actions are included in the consolidated plan, and some of the consolidated plan projects that are proposed have been proposed as a result of the Fair Housing Action Plan. And this is a document that's not submitted to HUD, but is maintained on file by the city should HUD request it. Within that Fair Housing Action Plan are a series of impediments. For example, one impediment that was identified was a need for more fair housing education, outreach, investigation, and enforcement. And so the recommended actions that are included to address that impediment include the following. First, develop a prominent, easy-to-find web page with fair housing information on the city's website. Second, make the City Fair Housing web page accessible for persons who are visually or hearing impaired, and also translated into Spanish for Spanish speakers with limited English proficiency. And third, strengthen fair housing education and outreach provided by the city to residents within Rochester.
Great. Thanks, Marjorie, for that overview of our 4 draft documents. I'd like to turn your attention now to some information about our 30-day interactive public display and comment period. So all 4 of the draft documents that are part of our consolidated plan and that Marjorie just reviewed with you are available to review online on our project webpage. That address is www.cityofrochester.gov/consolidated plan 2020 to 2024. And in addition to the draft documents for your review, the web page has a number of other opportunities for you to participate in this public comment period, including 2 online forms. One is a question form where you can submit any questions that you may have about the draft documents to us. Another is a comment form where you can submit formally your comments on these draft consolidated planning documents. So in order to submit comments, you may want to have your questions answered. So we are providing 2 opportunities for you to do that. Any written questions that are submitted through the online question form on the web page, we will gather at the end of each week and summarize and then write a document with written answers to those questions, which we will upload and post to the web page on 3 Wednesdays in the public comment period. Wednesday, May 6th, Wednesday, May 13th, and Wednesday, May 20th. So you can read through those answered questions, and that may help to inform a comment that you would like to submit on our draft documents. Another way that you can engage is to participate with us in a live question and answer session with city staff and our consultant team. That will be held on Monday, May 18th from 5 to 6 p.m. And there are 2 ways that you can participate in that. One is online via a Zoom webinar. And the link for the Zoom webinar is https://zoom.us/j/974-620-86564. Or if you have a Zoom account and you want to enter a meeting and it prompts you to enter a webinar ID, you can just enter 974-6208-6564. Participate via webinar. Another way that you can join to participate in this live session is by call-in, just using your phone. If you don't have a computer or you don't feel comfortable trying to utilize webinar technology or Zoom, just use your phone to dial in to 1-929-205-6099, and you can participate in this live Q&A session with our project team that way. Again, that'll be on Monday, May 18th from 5 to 6 p.m. So comments will be taken throughout the 30-day public comment period. You could submit comments multiple times or one time at any time during that month-long opportunity. But to provide comments through our comment form on the web page, you will be required to submit your name and the zip code where you live. And we want you to know that comments are really important. We're going to be using your comments to finalize these documents, and we'll be bringing them for a formal action to City Council in June, and then we'll be submitting them to HUD. But before we finalize these documents, we'll be looking at your comments. So please go review our draft documents and let us know what you think. All right, so highlight of our schedule for completion of this project and to finalize our consolidated planning documents. Again, the 30-day public display and comment period begins on Saturday, April 25th, and it runs through May 24th. As I mentioned, we will then be finalizing the draft documents, we're making them final, and we'll be bringing them to City Council for a formal action. As part of the City Council process, there will be a public hearing at the City Council committee meeting on June 11th on these final documents. We do not know at the time of recording this presentation whether that meeting will be held in person at City Hall or if we will still be under a stay-at-home order, in which case the meeting will be conducted online. As soon as we know more information about how that meeting will be conducted, we will upload it, post it to our project webpage. So definitely visit the webpage probably closer to the beginning of June for information on how you can participate in the public hearing if that's something that you're interested in. We'll then be bringing our final documents to City Council for formal action on Tuesday, June 16th. And we need to submit our final documents to HUD by no later than June 30th of this year. And the reason that we need to submit these documents to HUD by June 30th is because our program year with HUD and our ability to begin funding and spending on activities that we've identified in our annual action plan for this year kick off and begin on July 1 of this year. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us for this presentation. Thank you for your interest in this project. I want to encourage you to go to our webpage, check out our draft documents, and let us know what you think. In the meantime, stay home, stay healthy, and stay safe.